injuries and deaths. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, condemns violence and bloodshed for whatever reason as unacceptable and condemnable, especially when it is coming at the nation celebrates Easter with all the lessons of love and peace for humanity. The president also emphasized that violence has not and cannot be a solution to the resolution of misunderstandings amongst people. He noted that primary initiative for ending violence once and for all must originate from the local actors involved in these clashes. President Buhari further mandated a religious group which has successfully been stitching up broken relationships between several communities in Plateau State to work with security agencies to take up the challenges of reconciling the communities in Kaduna, Taraba, and Adamawa states. The president has also directed the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the National Commission for Refugees and Internally Displaced Persons to scale up their efforts in bringing succor to displaced people. Now, a special team set by the Nigerian Air Force has visited Katsina State to investigate alleged bombardment of Durumbrum village during its operations in Zamfara State. The 7-man team, led by Air Vice Marshal Idi Gamsolubo and received on arrival at the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport by the Air Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, Air Vice Marshal Napoleon Bali, and Commander NAF 213 Forward Operational Base Katsina Group, Captain Hadi Shehu Ahmed. Lawal Ahmed Matazu has the report.
Formation of the committee was against the backdrop of allegations by a newspaper publication against the Nigerian Air Force shortly after the deployment of its additional air power in the recently launched Operation Zapta Daji that was carved out of Operation Dramikia. The military operation was aimed at pounding and wiping out bandits from their hideout in the forests. Among the terms of reference of the team include reviewing footages of the operation and engaging critical stakeholders in Katsina and Zamfara states to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of the claims leveled against activities coordinated by the Nigerian Air Force in the fight against the bandits. Leader of the delegation, Air Vice Marshal Idi Gamsolubo, says the committee will leave no stone unturned in getting to the circumstances leading to the allegation.
We are here to check into the alleged bombing of a place. If there was such an incident, the board will uncover it. So whatever is going on the pages of newspapers, we are here to bring peace to the land.
He assured that the Nigerian Air Force is committed to international best practices in the discharge of its responsibilities and called on stakeholders to cooperate with the committee to ensure security of lives and property of the affected communities. The delegation has since left Katsina for Zamfara State to continue its fact-finding. In Katsina, Lawal Ahmed Matazu, NTA News.
And in Kano State, 2 drug barons suspected to specialize in trafficking hard drugs to Saudi Arabia have been arrested by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency with substance suspected to be cocaine weighing 2.927 kg on their way to Sudan. Ablahi Mustafa reports that the suspects claimed that the substance will be delivered to Saudi Arabia.
Sequel to the growing concern on the rising cases of drug abuse in the state, the Kano Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) launched an aggressive onslaught on hard drug barons. This is to reduce to barest minimum drug demand by cutting the supply chain. The effort led to the arrest of 2 suspects, Abdul Abubakar Muhammad and Ibrahim Mustafa, as well as seizure of 2.9 kilograms of cocaine, the first of its kind in the command.
All this as a result of the vigilance of the NDLA State Command and as a result of the shift from reactive kind of investigation to intelligence-led investigation, which is in vogue all over the world.
In the first quarter of 2019, the Kano State Command of the NDLEA seized a total of 836.9 kilograms of drugs comprising cannabis, tramadol, khat and cocaine. Also arrested were 4 suspected armed robbers along Kano-Gurazo Road. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
The attention of the National Judicial Council has been drawn to an online newspaper and daily newspaper report stating that the council would meet next week to deliberate on the extension of the acting appointment of Honorable Dr. Justice I.T. Mohammed, CFR, as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. Contrary to the above, the council actually met on Thursday, 18th April 2019, and at the 88th meeting considered the approval of the request of President Muhammadu Buhari for the extension of the appointment of Honorable Dr. Justice I.T. Mohammed as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria for another 3 months, and the council has since forwarded its approval to the President. Now away from judicial matters, now to aviation, where the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has reported what they say is a minor smoke incident that occurred at the equipment room of the new international terminal of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 3 p.m. Saturday. FAN says there is nothing to be worried about, as the incident was swiftly curtailed by the inbuilt fire detection and protection system at the new terminal that triggered automatically. Now, a statement by General Manager, Corporate Affairs FAN, Henrietta Yakubu, said that the building was designed and built with this protection system. The system comes up when it senses high ambient temperatures and sprays fire extinguishing agent. The residue of powder sprayed by the system was seen in the cloud, and there was no fire at all. The authority will, however, wish to reassure passengers and the general public that there is no cause for panic, as the incident has been put under control and operations are going on without hitches. In the spirit of the season, passengers of the free train service granted by Osun State Government from Lagos to Osogbo are commending Governor Boyega Oyetola for sustaining the program to ease their movement during the Easter celebration. The passengers gave the commendation on arrival at the rail terminals in Osogbo. Femi Afariogun has that report. All right, now we may return to that story in the course of this bulletin. It's Easter, and Christians in Nigeria are receiving goodwill messages from across the country, urging them to keep the faith by imbibing the spirit of good neighborliness, peace, and unity in various Easter messages. Najatu Tijani has a compilation of them.
Nigerians arose to a goodwill message by President Muhammadu Buhari, urging love, sacrifice, and forgiveness, which Christ embodied during his earthly ministry. He expressed sadness over communities caught up in a cycle of violence and encouraged Nigerians to unite against evil. The All Progressives Congress has felicitated with Christians at home and abroad on the joyous occasion of Easter, which commemorates the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, a major cornerstone of the Christian faith. A statement by the party National Publicity Secretary, Lanre Isa Onilu, says the APC is urging all citizens, irrespective of religious affiliations, to imbibe the selfless attributes displayed by Jesus Christ in their relationship with neighbors and in their national life. Meanwhile, the prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Kalu Uche, is asking Christians to use the Easter celebration to reflect on the humble and peaceful life and nature of Jesus Christ as Savior of mankind. In his message on the celebration, the prelate said the commemoration of the death and resurrection of Christ should bring joy and hope to Christians the world over. In the same vein, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, wished celebrants a God-filled Easter celebration and stressed that prayers and supplications would bring to life all that is dead in their lives, as salvation came to humanity because Christ defeated death. He expressed appreciation to Nigerians for their steadfastness and prayers, which have had immense impact on the peace, unity, and continued survival of the nation. Road users were not left out of the goodwill as Corps Marshal of the FRSC called for deep reflection on the need to show love to one another, especially while driving. According to FRSC Public Education Officer Bisi Kazim, Corps Marshal Oyeyemi's Easter message enjoined Nigerians to take advantage of the spiritual benefits of the season, which he said went beyond merriment. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Thank you, Naja'atu. And now let's return you to the story on the free train service for Easter holidays.
The wait for their loved ones who are coming for Easter ran into the midnight, and few minutes later, the honk of the train brought smiles to their faces. This free train service has become a ritual arrangement by the state government for indigenes of Osun residing in Lagos to come home and enjoy the festive period with their people. This is the first time Akim Ogunwuyi will be enjoying the free train service.
It was so lovely. All I want to say to this state government is that they should keep on doing what they know is good to do.
We thank our governor a lot. God bless him and his family for what he's doing for us every year.
We are really enjoying this progressive government.
Osun State government is seeing it as an obligation to make life better for the people.
This is service to the community. The government kept to its promise. Over 2,000 people boarded this from Lagos and they came in here.
This free train service started during the last administration of Governor Rauf Aregbesola in the year 2011. The free train service departs for Lagos on Monday 22 April at 10 a.m. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Now, Muslims from all walks of life in the country have also been enjoined to live in peace irrespective of political affiliation. This message was re-echoed at the 9th Triennial National Conference of Ansaruddin Society of Nigeria. Abdusalam Jubril reports.
Speakers at the event emphasized the need for peace in the nation and appealed to politicians to desist from inciting and exploiting the country's fault lines to further their political interests.
Let us save our society. Let us deny the exploiters of these fault lines. Let us deny them the fodder that they need to feed in order to achieve their selfish interests.
For the government to have equity and justice within every citizen of the country and to make sure we are just to ourselves.
We must love each another so that for us to have peace in this country.
Other participants, while commending the establishment of Summit University, expressed gratitude for the wealth of information they garnered at the event.
It was very, very good. And the information that I received about the report that the president gave was very informative.
There are a lot of spaces from the Quran and the Hadith that want us to unify. That should be maintain peace. If anybody is fighting you, maintain your peace.
They also admonished youths to desist from becoming willing tools in the hands of mischief makers. In Abuja, Abdusalam Jubril, NTA News.
Wife of the President, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has advocated establishment of Adamawa Development Trust Fund to channel prioritized developmental projects for effective implementation and funding to benefit the entire people of Adamawa State. Mrs. Buhari said this during the Adamawa Indigenous Progressives Town Hall meeting in Yola, noting that this will complement government effort to bring development to the grassroots. State House correspondent Ali Kabir was there for us.
With the desire to fast-track the development of Adamawa State and its people, taking into cognizance the current predicament of the state, especially the recent political development, as well as the security challenges, coupled with the decline rate of educational school enrollment and the growing number of unemployment, the wife of the president, as an indigene of the state, maintained that this needs to be reversed. She therefore decided to bring together Sons and daughters of the state cutting across the length and breadth of the state, from the health sector, academia, farmers, businessmen and women, artisans, politicians, and the people with special needs. The idea was to brainstorm and chart a new course for development to reflect the peaceful coexistence the state has been enjoying for a very long time.
With the rampant security challenges, inter-ethnic conflicts, poor educational enrollment of children in schools, poor functional healthcare system, annual flooding being experienced, and continuous influx of displaced people. Our hope and solution as a people lies in our ability to join hands and form a coalition towards uplifting the state from its present predicament.
Mrs. Buhari expressed the need for the incoming administration to give priority to inclusive governance for the desired development.
My plea to the incoming administration is that of all inclusive governance, a government that will serve as a unifying factor for bringing together people from different backgrounds regardless of political affiliation.
The Deputy Governor Martin Babale, as well as other speakers from all sectors purely indigenous of Adamawa, applauded the initiative of Mrs. Buhari. They described the meeting as timely. In Yola, Adamawa State Capital, Aliu Kabir.
How do families of troops fighting to keep national peace cope with the absence of their breadwinners? While some find hobbies, others form a support network, such as the recently inaugurated Defense Admin Officers' Wives Association. Correspondent Najatu Tijani tells us more.
Gaily dressed, smiling brightly, but nursing uncertainty about tomorrow, these women have one thing in common. They are military wives. With most of their spouses deployed to conflict zones in northern Nigeria and other hotspots, most of them say they worry about what news tomorrow may bring. This fountain could be said to be a symbol of peace and unity, and while our troops fight to keep this peace, their spouses are seeking to turn challenges into opportunities. To cope with these uncertainties and more, they have taken the opportunity to form a support system in the form of their association.
I formally inaugurate DSA OWA today, the 17th day of April 2019.
The sense of this chapter is to encourage ourselves, empower ourselves. Let us also be aware of the resources that are available to us as officers' wives.
Recognizing the need to reach out to others who are not so fortunate, the association, which includes the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DEPOA, also has outreach programs and strategies for sustainable income and investment for self-reliance. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
Now the program is Weekend File. We thank you for your company. The topic on our desk today is revitalizing primary healthcare system in Nigeria. What are the factors militating against it, and what are the realities on ground? Stay with us for details in our correspondence report coming up in a short while.
Next. Lagbaja. Omo Baba Muko.
Na Baba be that.
How do I know you are not an impostor? Oh yeah, play me something.
Abba, my band members are all over the world. Let me connect with them on Glow 4G and make some great music for you. Who's on Glow here?
I got Glow. I've got Glow too.
I go show you. Hello, sir. Aleki, Gogo, Jide, guitar. Uzo, give me conga. Ahmed, keyboard. 1, 2, 3.
No matter where you are in the world,
Rest assured, Glow has you covered. Glow Oga SIM, the unrivaled big boss of data. Upgrade to a 4G SIM for free and get 125% bonus. Also enjoy 25% data bonus on all auto renewals. Dial *777# to choose a plan.
Happy Easter from the Federal Road Safety Commission.
The Federal Road Safety Corps appreciates your compliance with road traffic rules and regulations and felicitates with Christian faithfuls on the Easter celebrations. In view of massive road construction and rehabilitations going on in the country, the Corps urges road users to obey road traffic signs and signals at construction areas and further plan your movements. Ensure that your vehicle is roadworthy to avoid breakdown on the highways.
Avoid long talks, use of phones and other distractions while driving. Park safely and rehydrate if thirsty. Overloading of vehicles with persons or goods is dangerous for you and other road users. Avoid night trips. Limit speed when driving on unfamiliar roads.
Occupants of front and back seats to fasten their seatbelts. Drive to save a life. The Corps wishes you a successful Easter celebration. Happy Easter.
The Federal Road Safety Commission is committed to creating a safer motoring environment.
Marketing of broadcast media products requires special skills which can only be acquired through training and experience. NTA TV College Jos is therefore organizing an intensive 3-week course on modern trends in broadcast media marketing. The course will equip participants with necessary skills to deal with contemporary marketing challenges and competition in the broadcast media. It is an essential course for marketers in the broadcast media to sharpen their skills and improve their capacities. Date 23rd April to 10th May 2019. Venue NTA Television College Refuge Jos. Course fee 100,000 naira per participant, accommodation inclusive. For more inquiries, please contact us on 0803 314 4383 or 0806 980 9807. NTA TV College Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
Easter celebrations are here again. It's a time to travel and spend time with loved ones. As you plan your travels, the petroleum tanker drivers of Nupeng is saying, drive with care. Obey all traffic rules. Don't overspeed, overload, or overtake recklessly. Use your seat belts at all times. Don't drink and drive. Avoid use of mobile phones while driving. Remember, your loved ones await your safe arrival. A little patience goes a long way. Do have a glorious and safe Easter celebration. This message is from the Petroleum Tanker Drivers of Nupeng. Otumba Salmon Akoni, Chairman PTD Branch of Nupeng, announcer.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You're welcome back. From Kaduna comes a report that the state government has strengthened 255 primary health care facilities across the state for effective service delivery. Ibrahim Bello Gunda reports that this has greatly reduced the burden of secondary and tertiary health institutions towards bringing effective and affordable healthcare services closer to the people.
Worried by the poor delivery of primary healthcare governance and services in Kaduna State, the present administration of Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai entered into strategic partnership with development partners like Dangote Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Health Strategy and Development Foundation, among others, to strengthen primary healthcare delivery in rural communities. The state government also increased the health budget allocation in the state from 7.5% to 11.57%, as well as renovated and equipped almost all primary healthcare facilities in the state.
all the nutritional services that have been given in the state is free of charge. The RUTF that is being provided in our health facilities, immunization program, and other treatment of minor ailments that has been doing in all the facilities in the state is free.
The whole idea was to create that synergy in healthcare service delivery to reach out the grassroots population.
Another success story is that of primary healthcare under one roof policy by the state government, aimed at integrating all primary healthcare services under one authority for easy planning, training of health workers, and provision of drugs, among others.
A lot of transformation in the facility. We have seen the renovations of the facility, the provision of equipment and supply. We also saw the installation of solar power.
Asabe Awal and Habiba Hussaini have been visiting Badara Primary Healthcare Facility for their health need for over 15 years.
Thank God, everything is going normal. Because if you come, they will attend with us.
With these changes brought by the present administration, especially to take primary healthcare delivery to its rightful place in the state, the residents of the state are waiting to see what government will do in the next 4 years. In Kaduna, Ibrahim Bello Gunda, NTA News.
And our next report is coming from Benin in Edo State, where Goodluck Enaini reports on the outcome of the state government's investment in basic primary health care across local government areas of the state.
Edo State government believes that access to qualitative, responsive, and efficient healthcare service at the primary health care remains the only way towards achieving universal healthcare. To achieve this, the state government began by gradually overhauling the primary healthcare systems by selecting 20 primary healthcare centers across the 18 local government areas of the state as pilot scheme.
This is one of the 20 pilot projects we're working on to just ensure that we understand the issues and standardize the product or the facilities. We are securing them. We are ensuring that they have 24/7 electricity. Each facility must have water, borehole. And so in terms of the physical space, the physical environment in which the workers work and the patients are received, we want to make sure that they're clean and they are standardized.
The scheme is built on several pillars, including human capacity, provision of technology and data, quality assurance, financing, and infrastructure of the healthcare system to provide a well-packaged preventive, curative, and rehabilitative healthcare services to the residents.
We're going to be rounding up these 20 pilot PHCs in the very near future. Thereafter, we're rolling out 50 primary healthcare centers, which will be a standard PHC where people can access healthcare, especially those at the rural healthcare centers.
It is the belief of government that success in this means a lot for the tertiary healthcare sector. In Benin, Goodluck Enaini, NTA News.
And from Akure, Olajide Bello examines the contributions of development partners towards complementing Ondo State government's effort in enhancing qualitative healthcare system at the grassroots.
Ondo State government scaled up health investments per capita health expenditure of $12 as against the $34 recommended by the Macroeconomic Commission on Health in line with Millennium Development Goals. The shortfall is being complemented by allocation from Federation account, voluntary organizations and health insurance.
Giving great pleasure to commission this equipment for the use of our people in Ondo State and those who are not from here who might want to take advantage of our primary care centers.
The over 500 primary healthcare centers spread across the 18 local government areas of the state have been fortified under the One Roof policy and harmonized monitoring team as feedback mechanism.
A lot of renovation is taking place in our primary healthcare centers because we want to make them standard.
African Development Bank is one of the primary healthcare scheme partners in the state.
Recently, we are about finishing an arrangement between the state and the African Development Bank. They want to support us in the area of management and prevention of malaria.
The last aspect was development of a minimum service package for primary health care services. That has just been completed. UNICEF play a very important role in the development of that document. They funded it. We provided the counterpart funding for the development of that minimum service package.
For primary health care to be at optimum performance in the state, experts say there is need for more concerted effort from key players within and outside the health sector and continuity of government health policies. From Akure in Ondo State, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Now, Anambra State is making significant progress going by the recent assessment by the state government. Ngozi Okekar reports on how the state achieved this feat.
With the inception of Governor Willie Obiano's led administration 5 years ago, the state has witnessed a massive improvement from 3 facilities per local government, 63 in all, to a minimum of 150 at the moment for maternal and child health care delivery, immunization and other health care services. Dr. Joe Akabike is the State Health Commissioner.
Partners like the Challenge Initiative that's working with us, that are helping us to revamp, primary health care center. So we have done marvelous there in terms of renovating them, putting the basic facilities, water, and the innovation that we have, what we call tricyclic ambulance, that we have also given to these places, and helping them to transfer patients that they can manage.
Anambra State Primary Health Care Center Development Agency was also passed into law and given mandate with a target on infrastructure, human resource training and retaining of workers, and now qualifies to benefit from federal government's Basic Health Fund, having fully implemented primary health care under one roof and health insurance scheme. How was this made possible?
It is because of the commitment of the dynamic and hard-working governor, Chief Dr. William Obiano. To solve a problem, you have to define the problem. And if you define it, a proper solution. And that's what we did. The primary health care not having governance, we put the governance, needing some facility finances, we did. And policies and implementation partners coming in, and all those things culminated into the success that we are discussing.
Although with the challenges of inadequate drug supply and equipment, as well as poor patient turn-up facing the sector, the state is hopeful that with support from federal government and other partners, all facilities will come up to standard within the next 2 years. In Oka, Ngozi Okekaru, NTA News.
And this is Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Of course, we are looking at primary healthcare in Nigeria, and our guest who will be joining me very shortly is no other than Faisal Shoaib, who is Executive Secretary of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. We'll be back very shortly.
Pitching the big idea. It doesn't come easy. You gotta put in the hours, roll with the punches, and take on the pressure. But you will power through. Then step onto that stage and hit them with that idea. You, my friend, are unstoppable. Power Horse. Unstoppable you. Grab your new Malt Rush. Power Horse, official partner of Manchester City Football Club.
Jennifer, don't tell me you're still looking for chapters for your expo.
What expo? I'm reading to pass.
Yeah, right.
I beg, we all know even if you study, the surest way to graduate in this school is to do a rejo.
Or better still, we hook the lecturers, Abby.
No, that's a thing of the past. I would not get a certificate I cannot defend. I would not be a burden to the nation or the society by fixing or buying certificates. That does not add value to my life. This is the era of change, and change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, You can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
And now with me is, of course, the Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in the person of Dr. Faisal Shoaib. Dr. Shoaib, you're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you, Karen. Good evening, viewers.
Yes. Okay, now let's kickstart this discussion by asking you to, first of all, explain the state of emergency, declared by your organization on primary health care in Nigeria. What else should Nigerians know about this state of emergency, and why should that be?
Right. So last week we declared a state of public health concern on the numbers of women and children dying every day in Nigeria due to preventable causes. Like we mentioned during the declaration, we're focusing on the deaths that are happening in our communities. We are outraged by the large numbers of women, over 100, approximately 145 women every day dying due to pregnancy or childbirth. And then in the same country, some 2,300 children under 5 dying from preventable causes. We know that as a country, we can do better than this. This is why, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health and the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Health, Professor Adewale, we said enough is enough. We have to do things differently because we cannot continue doing the same things and expect different results.
Now, what are the elements of this emergency that's just been declared? Because, invariably, Nigerians will be expecting some drastic measures to turn things around. You've just talked about Nigerian children dying, below the age of 5 dying. And, of course, some maternal mortality is also being recorded. Now, what are the elements, in this emergency that you have just called?
Right. So the first thing that we did was to say that we needed to establish a center. So we established a center at the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency that we christened the National Emergency Center for Interventions around maternal and child health, which brought all our development partners, the Federal Ministry of Health, and staffers of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency under one roof, right? Using a sort of war room approach. We said instead of the fragmented efforts, development partners will bring, donors will bring, and then different state governments will sort of act in ways that were not cohesive. We said this is one time when we have to now begin to look at, of all the various interventions that we've applied in the last few decades, some of them have worked very well. Some of them have not, right? So which are the solutions that have worked and which ones haven't worked? We now prioritize those ones that have worked and put in all our resources and focus under one plan that everybody works behind, right? And say that in the next 2 years, we're going to focus on how we can reduce this maternal and child deaths by 50%. It's an ambitious target. But we believe that Nigerians have to be ambitious when it comes to reducing the number of women and children dying. There's nobody that doesn't know a woman, a neighbor, an aunt, a cousin who has died as a result of childbirth. That is not acceptable given our level of development, given the capacities within Nigeria. So yes, we've set up a center, but apart from that, we're also mobilizing resources to say that these resources will now be managed in a way that is transparent, in a way that ensures accountability. If any woman dies anywhere, working with our traditional institutions, our traditional leaders, our religious leaders, we're going to be asking questions. Why did this woman die? Did she die from perfectly preventable causes? If that is the case, who is to be held accountable for this woman's death, this child that has died? Why is this happening in Nigeria? We haven't been having these kinds of interrogation of these deaths in a very consistent way. We're going to change that.
All right, looking at Nigeria as a nation, we have not lacked, in terms of capacity. But of course, what has been lacked over time and over the years, has been cohesion, and the commitment, the political will to get things done. I recall that in 2018, the Federal Minister of Health committed about 64% of his budget to primary health care, which has not been done before. Because when the minister was confronted with that, he did say, look, we have to do things differently. Right. And of course, you know that primary health care is grassroots based. Now, what should be the role, or what are the roles of the state and local governments with respect to this emergency, a state of emergency that you have just declared in this sector, to ensure that whatever you have in mind for declaring, making a sort of emergency declaration to work?
Right. So Professor Adewale has always been a staunch supporter of primary health care. This is why in 2018 he made it possible for a large proportion of funding to go to primary health care. And under his leadership, we're engaging with the states and local government areas. In the first place, he drove this policy of saying that instead of the fragmented approach to primary health care, let's have primary health care under one roof, so that instead of having the federal government put in a bid, state government put in a bid, and local government areas also contributing sort of an uncoordinated support of primary health care, let's harmonize everything under that primary health care under one roof policy, right? What it now means is that with this declaration of an emergency, the states are also going to declare an emergency, look at which are the local government areas that are contributing the most towards these deaths. So in any state, as it were, there are primary healthcare centers, there are communities that are very far removed. And in some of these rural areas, this is where we're having these deaths, right, of women and then children. But out of, say, 20 local government areas, which ones are the 5 or 10 that if you focused on, you could bring down these deaths very rapidly, right? This is, again, in line with the Federal Ministry of Health's policy of ensuring that in every ward we should have one functional primary healthcare center, so that the center of gravity of our health system is moved away from the urban area to the rural areas where most of our people live, right? So that there's now an inversion of that pyramid. In the past, you will find that some 80% of the resources was being spent on the tertiary health centers, the general hospitals. Meanwhile, most of our people live in the rural areas. So we're flipping that pyramid and making sure that we now invest more resources towards strengthening primary health care. In much the same way, with this declaration, we're focusing on the women, the children. And this is again in line with how we're trying to drive Nigeria towards universal health coverage, right? President Buhari made it very clear in his vision that he wants every Nigerian to have access to basic health care, no matter where they live or where they work, and let them be able to afford this basic health care, right? Irrespective of where they live or they work. The Basic Healthcare Provision Fund is a combination of funds to support the functioning of primary health care and also the pooling of risks through the National Health Insurance Scheme, so that the weak will get funding because the rich and the stronger people can contribute to that funding. All of this is geared towards a situation where if somebody is sick, it doesn't matter whether they can pay or not, they will have access to some of those basic services. For pregnant women, that means free antenatal care, that means free delivery, and even for if they require a cesarean section, it's going to be free. For kids under 5, it's free treatment for them. That has never happened in Nigeria.
Okay, right. I know that health is on the concurrent list, the legislative list, right? And the states also they have their own health programs, right? But how are they keen into this primary health care? Because in one of the reports, we had our correspondent saying that the state is also expecting some funds from the federal government. How does the synergy work between federal government and state government on the issue of primary health care delivery?
Right. So from the national budget, right, there are funds that are committed to supporting primary health care in the states. But for the most part, the expectation is that the states will fund primary health care under the primary health care under one roof, right? So they will also move staff from the local government areas to the state primary health care boards, right? So with this amassing of funds in the center, we've been able to advocate and work with state governors, with commissioners of health, with the state primary health care boards, the executive secretaries, to see how we can ensure that in every ward there's at least one primary health care center that is functional. And like you saw in the report, a lot of states are buying into that, indicating, for example, in Kaduna, where you have 255 wards, they've been able to select which are the primary healthcare centers where they will invest funds, provide electricity, provide water, provide the right human resources. This is happening gradually all across the state, so that we all know what we're talking about when we talk about primary healthcare revitalization.
All right. Well, that's all this issue of the lack of drugs, vaccines, the equipment, facilities, at the centers, So how are you coping with that? And to add to that, we also know that international donor agencies are likely to provide some financial assistance to this. So is it happening?
Right. So the issue of vaccine stockout is like stories of the past. We no longer have vaccines shortages. Everywhere you go, we have vaccines, at least vaccines for the routine immunization program. But we do have issues with availability of drugs, commodities in the primary healthcare centers. Again, this is where the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, the 55 billion naira that has been made available in the 2018 budget, is supposed to go directly to the health facilities, so that the officer in charge is able to look at their consignment of drugs and be able to plan adequately locally to ensure that those drugs are available, right? In terms of the funding from the donors and our development partners, the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, again, is not just funds for from the federal government, but also we have donors contributing to that fund, right? They have a lot of confidence that if we're able to pull these funds in one place, then in a very transparent manner, we ensure that those funds go directly to the states and the health facilities, so that very little is left at the national level. In the past, once there's a fund committed at national level to drive operations in the states and LGS, then there are issues around corruption. But what the Honorable Minister has done, working together with National Primary Health Care Development Agency and the National Health Insurance Scheme, is to ensure that we now have a model where very little remains at the center. It goes directly to the primary healthcare centers, where Nigerians can now begin to access better basic healthcare services.
Kurudu is a suburb here in Abuja, and we hear that in Kurudu Primary Healthcare Center, there is no power. Of course, we don't have access roads to the place. And of course, when that happens, you also know that there may be lack of drugs in that primary health center. You have an idea about this?
Right. So we are always advocating to our governors, to the ministers about the need to ensure adequate provision of funding for primary health care, right? The 2009 Abuja commitment is very clear that the federal government, state government should commit at least 15% of their budget towards the health sector. The health sector is still underfunded.
So the FCT should actually provide such a needed
absolutely. It is for the Federal Capital Territory to do that, and we've seen that in the last few years, especially under the current administration, that there's been an improvement in the primary healthcare center, but we're not where we need to be, as it were.
All right. Executive Director, we'd like to thank you and appreciate your comments on this very important topic, and wish you well as you get on with your state of emergency declared at the primary health care level. Thank you indeed for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, has been our guest tonight. Dr. Shuaib has been here talking to us on primary healthcare. Once again, you are watching Weekend File. I'll be back in just a moment. James, right. And for 3 days, the prestigious UEFA Champions League trophy was in Lagos, and fans of the Championship or Champions League City had great fun and experience to last them a lifetime. Gift George, who covered the 3-day event, reports that it climaxed with a street tour and a gala night where some Nigeria's finest artists performed.
A Heineken UEFA Champions League trophy tour of the streets of Lagos took off on Maryland roundabout as bystanders stared in awe at the prestigious trophy. The journey continued through Mobolaji Bank Anthony Road, connected Okpebe Link Road to Allen Avenue, and then terminated at Alausa as fans ensured they kept memories of the lifetime experience.
Wow, it's just one of a kind. Let me just put it that way. I'm so happy seeing it for the first time live, face to face.
Heineken they are a wonderful brand. I know they are world or international brand, and they have been doing very, very wonderful. They support sports a lot, especially bringing the European competition to our, to our televisions.
It's actually really nice to have a real-time cup like strolling around the street.
I can't even imagine seeing the real life cup today, not even in the next 1 year. Very thank you to Heineken, because this kind of a thing, you can't just walk by and see a UEFA Cup on the main road going free like this. As in, I'm highly excited.
In rounding off the UEFA Champions League trophy tour, all roads led to Victoria Island later in the evening for the Heineken Gala night. It was a moment to cherish for the fans as award-winning Nigerian artists Two-Face and Tiwa Savage lit up the stage.
If I tell you say I love you, I beg you, don't go tell me to your
This is one way to reward consumers. What better way to reward their consumers than to mix and mash up both of them, which is music, entertainment in general, and sports.
Heineken is known for enjoyment. That's our passion, it's in our DNA. I mean, you can see everybody. The assignment is great.
This will be the third time the UEFA Champions League trophy will be visiting the country after 2009 and 2014. In Lagos, Gift George, NTA News.
And now, Olumide Eguntola is our guide on sports update.
Golden Eaglets of Nigeria rounded off our group matches on a good note. The team played 1 goal apiece with their Uganda counterparts to finish as group leaders with 7 points.
The 2019 edition of the Africa Zone 3 Volleyball Championship has ended in Lagos with a clarion call to Nigerian club sides to wake up from their slumber after Ghana Police male team defeated Nigeria Customs 3-0 in the final to retain the title it won last year.
The clubs in Nigeria to wake up. We have seen it. For the male, Ghana has won it. And we are going to leave here with a lot of disciples.
Nigeria Customs female team also defeated their fellow compatriots Nigeria Immigration Service 3-0 to emerge the new champion. In handball, President Nigeria Handball Federation Samuel Ucheu has assured Nigerians of springing up surprises in the various forthcoming continental and world handball tournaments. He said Nigeria's under-19 silver medal winning feat in Kosovo will further spur Nigeria to record more victories.
This is the first time that Nigeria is coming second in any IHF organized championship, and so for me, I'm happy to be part of history.
A Nigerian boxer based in Dubai, Lasisi Aliu, has added another feather to his cap, winning a gold belt in a 52.1 kilogram super flyweight contest held at Emirates Golf Club in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. He defeated his opponent Ricardo Blando via unanimous decision to emerge champion.
Super flyweight champion, Aliu!
Governors, so I can show what I have, what I'm bringing as a country in Dubai.
It's appointed that this guy will go places.
Lasisi is expected to be in Nigeria to present his new gold belt to the stakeholders, as he did when he won the silver belt in 2018. With sports update, Olumide Eguntola, NTA News.
Well, and that's how we conclude tonight's edition of Weekend File. We'd like to thank you for watching, and please join us again next week when we return with a fresh package of news, views, and analysis. From me and the operational crew, have a great Easter holidays.
one's power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information. You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng.